Member from Albany.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to introduce to you and the body a group of folks sitting here behind me. They're here today on the issue of Act 46 and how it affects our towns that have tuitioning students, whether receiving those students or sending them. And we're here to have a voice be heard at a press conference at 1:30 this afternoon in the Cedar Creek Room, and I appreciate them coming out on this day with the roads the way they've been. So please welcome them with me.
Would the guest of the member from Albany please rise and be recognized?
So we're here to bring attention to and give a voice for the towns that have been affected by Act 46 and the issue of school choice. In voting for Act 46, many legislators believed that it would continue to allow Vermont's existing school choice districts to maintain that choice, even if they merge under Act 46 with other districts that operate public schools. We are here today to ask the legislature to clarify through legislation or amendments that choice will still be allowed for these schools for whom it is a long-standing tradition. We will hear now from those standing here with me how Act 46 is affecting schools and communities that either send tuition students or receive them.
I serve on a school board and I'm a volunteer debate coach at 2 high schools. And I remember when I was young, I went to see Walt Disney's Pinocchio. And I remember Jiminy Cricket singing, "If you wish upon a star, it makes no difference who you are, your dreams come true." I believed it then, but I'm old enough to know better now. I know that if you're wealthy, you have choices. You can live in the town you want to live in. You can go to the school you want to go to. And if you want to be a foreign exchange student, you can be a foreign exchange student. And I also know if you're not so wealthy, you don't have choices. Unless you're one of those lucky students in Vermont, in a town like Stannard or Walden or Wolcott. Then you may be poor, but you still have opportunities and you still have choices, the same choices that wealthy families might have. And I want this audience to understand something that's very important. Those towns, Walden and Wolcott and Stannard, they bring $604,000 this year to the school that I'm on the board of. If those towns merge with anybody but us, we lose $604,000. Craftsbury loses $500,000. At a small school like Craftsbury, you have to ask yourself, how devastating is that loss? The loss of school choice is the loss of opportunity to students who otherwise might not have opportunity, but it also decimates public schools. We need school choice to stay the way it is. I'm looking at the choice towns around us. Walden is 9 through 12. Elmore is 4 through 12. They're not a match. So Elmore goes with Peoples in Morristown, and choice is gone. It's disappeared forever. Now, if Wolcott and Walden go different directions, Hazen loses over $500,000 from their budget. What do we cut? Foreign languages, art, music? Tell me. But $500,000 is 6 teachers, and they're going to go. Craftsbury loses $500,000. I think that's one of the finest schools in the state of Vermont. $500,000 in a school with a $3.5 million budget is an awful lot. What do they get rid of? This bill can devastate 2 good high schools. That's nuts.
In our district, we actually have 4 towns in a supervisory union that all of our school boards, as near as I've been able to determine, are trying to preserve. But by existing law, you can't create a side-by-side unless at least there are 2 school boards that are combining on each side. In our particular district, we have 3 with choice that would like to merge and 1 that doesn't have choice. So unless existing law is changed and we can't get anyone to move on this, we're stuck. We're going to have to throw out a perfectly good supervisory union that everyone's happy with because we can't maintain this option to move forward. It's unfortunate.
Throughout this past summer, after the passage of Act 60, it became clear through the decision made by, the ruling made by the State Board of Education that districts that merged could not, by their ruling, both operate a school and tuition at the same time for the same grades. Last year, it was abundantly clear to all of us, I think, as legislators, that school choice, as Vicki said, would be able to be maintained regardless of mergers. That is just not the case, and that hasn't been the case. So it is clear that we need to do something. So along with several of my colleagues here, Democrats, Linda Martin especially, we've introduced H579. H579 is a House bill that would allow for certain merging districts to both operate a school and allow for tuitioning of those same grades. And that both meets constitutional muster and would also solve the issues for all of these choice communities.
Last night I attended my town school informational budget meeting. The budget didn't create the most conversation. It was the conversation on how we would move forward with a consolidation plan. What I heard loud and clear was we cherish school choice. I heard that we moved to this town for school choice for our children. It is important to us and an educational asset. Wolcott is a town with no economic benefits. We have no cell coverage, no infrastructure like town water or sewer. We only have slow DSL through our phone lines, no cable TV. The one benefit that we do have is school choice, which brings many families into our community, and it really is an economic benefit. And I'll say, as a mother of 2 children who's had the opportunity to go through school choice, it was very good for my daughters. They each went to 2 different schools. The educational program was in the different high schools, and they thrived, having that ability to have choice. Thank you.
I can speak from personal experience that my daughter was in one school, and around the 10th grade, decided that she may do better in another school. We were able to transfer and to a point where she thrived after that. So in the heart of the kingdom where we are, we find that school choice has people moving to towns in order to gain school choice for their children. That option is valued to so many people in the state that we need to consider it and to keep it a vibrant aspect of our school funding and our school situations. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. I am the proud principal of Craftsbury Schools pre-K to 12 school system with 189 students where enrollment is up, achievement is up, and costs are down. The community of Craftsbury is very invested in its schools. So what would be the impact of Act 46 and loss of school choice on our school? First, let me speak to Act 46 in general. I see it as a distraction and a diversion from the important work that we have to do. And Act 46, it sort of reminds me of the show Survivor or other reality shows where communities are talking about setting up alliances so everyone can stay in the game. That is a distraction. The more serious effect, though, is on school choice. Over the past 5 years, the number of choice tuition students in has tripled. It enriches our school community in many ways. So to me, the way that school choice in the law, which says, you know, nothing in this act shall prevent school choice, the way it's actually being implemented through the rules is catch-22. Sort of like the book where by the same name where you could only see major when it wasn't in. You can have school choice, except if you do, you can't merge. And if you can't merge, we'll tell you what you need to do. So I think it's very important for the legislature to reconsider the school choice issue and to maintain it. It's part of life here As a matter of fact, if I had my druthers, we'd expand it rather than decrease it. Thank you.
I moved to Vermont with my husband and my 2 children just 8 months ago. We moved from Rhode Island, bringing our professions and talents to this beautiful state. In an era where families are more mobile and are seeking out a more holistic life, Vermont is a perfect place to attract young families. We are that younger family. We are that population that Vermont should want to attract. We found a wonderful community in Elmore. We chose Elmore for many reasons, but one of the more significant reasons was that Elmore offered school choice. For this was a major draw. It is my assertion that this new legislation is trying to rid Vermont of true school choice. School choice, a modern educational movement catching fire, was first coined in Vermont well over a century ago. It is being replaced by the industrial machine of education. If we are to better our children, the future leaders of Vermont and this country, education cannot be mechanical. It has to be organic and individualized. This is where school choice is imperative, giving parents and teachers the power to fit a student to a school, erasing socioeconomic lines. The state claims they cannot take away school choice. However, they sure will make you pay for it if you don't play their way. Thank you.
I've been a school board member for over 35 years, almost 30 years in my community. The accusation that I may not support public schools because I support school choice is false. What I don't support is the funding of individual buildings. I support the funding of students. What has been our practice in Vernon since 1952 is to have school choice for our children. If we care about the students and the children of Vermont, we will afford to them the best opportunity we can. And by that, I mean we need to fund students, not buildings, empower parents to send their children where they need to be, and we'll get a better educational outcome. Thank you.
We conclude by asking the education committees in the House and Senate to take action on this problem with Act 46. Address the need for clarifying the statute to allow tuitioning towns to keep their school choice. We ask the Agency of Education to continue to support this 150-year tradition of tuitioning, a tradition which is becoming a model of school choice for other states in our country.